Before we begin this incredible story, I want to know, where are you watching from right now? Drop your city, your country in the comments. Are you in New York, London, Lagos, Johannesburg? Let me know. And what time is it where you are? Is it morning, late at night when you can't sleep? Tell me in the comments. I love seeing how this story reaches people all around the world at different hours. If you're new here, welcome to the family. This channel is your home for emotional, cinematic stories about love, redemption, and second chances. If that sounds like something you need in your life, hit that subscribe button right now and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Now, settle in. Get comfortable. Because this story, it's going to make you feel everything. Let's begin. The document sits on the mahogany desk between us, and I can't stop staring at the number printed at the bottom. $3 million. That's what my signature is worth. That's what 30 days of my life will cost him. $3 million to pretend to be the wife of the most dangerous man in Chicago. You have 5 minutes to decide, Dante Cavallo says, his voice low and unhurried, like a man who has never been told no in his entire life. I look up at him, this stranger who appeared out of nowhere and offered me a way out of the nightmare my life has become. He's tall, well over 6 feet, with dark hair pushed back from a face that belongs on the cover of a magazine. Sharp cheekbones, a jaw that could cut glass, and eyes so dark they seem to absorb the light around them. He's beautiful in the way a hurricane is beautiful, devastating, uncontrollable, something you should run from, not toward. But running isn't an option anymore. Not when my mother's medical bills have reached $600,000. Not when the bank is 3 days away from taking our home. Not when I've already sold everything I own and it still isn't enough. Why me? I whisper, my voice barely audible, even to my own ears. Dante leans back in his leather chair, studying me with an intensity that makes my skin prickle. Because you're desperate, he says simply. And desperate people don't ask questions. He's right. I hate that he's right. 30 days, I repeat, needing to hear it again. That's all? 30 days as my wife. You'll attend events on my arm. You'll live in my home. You'll convince my family and my enemies that our marriage is real. He pauses, and something flickers in those dark eyes. After that, you walk away with $3 million, and we never see each other again. It sounds simple, clinical, a business transaction wrapped in wedding bands and whispered lies. But nothing about this man is simple. I can feel it in my bones, the danger that radiates off him like heat from a flame, the power that coils beneath his expensive suit like a predator waiting to strike. I should say no. I should walk out of this office and never look back. Instead, I pick up the pen. My name is Sienna Hartwell, and this is the story of how I sold myself to a monster and discovered he was the only one who could save me. 3 days earlier, the eviction notice is pink. I don't know why that bothers me so much, the color of it. Like the bank thought a cheerful shade of salmon would soften the blow of losing everything. Final notice. Vacate premises within 72 hours. I read the words again, hoping they'll rearrange themselves into something less devastating. They don't. They just sit there on the page, mocking me with their permanence. Sienna? My mother's voice drifts down the hallway, thin and fragile. Is someone at the door? I crumple the notice in my fist and shove it into my pocket. Just mail, Mama. Nothing important. The lie tastes bitter on my tongue, but I've gotten good at lying lately. Good at smiling when I want to scream. Good at pretending everything is fine when our entire world is crumbling around us. I find her in the living room, propped up in the hospital bed that takes up most of the space now. She's 62 years old, but the cancer has aged her decades. Her skin is paper thin, stretched over bones that seem more prominent every day. The oxygen tube loops around her ears, and the heart monitor beeps its steady rhythm in the corner. You look tired, baby girl, she says, reaching for my hand. Her fingers are cold. They're always cold now. I'm fine. Another lie. I haven't slept more than 3 hours a night in weeks. Did the nurse come by? She did. Nice woman. Terrible taste in music, though. She had me listening to some podcast about true crime. Mama shakes her head, but there's a hint of a smile on her cracked lips. I told her I'm trying to die peacefully, not terrified of serial killers. Mama, don't say that. What? It's true. She squeezes my hand with what little strength she has left. I'm not afraid of dying, Sienna. I made my peace with God a long time ago. Her voice catches. I just wish I wasn't leaving you with such a mess. The medical bills, the mortgage we refinanced twice to pay for treatment that isn't working. The debt collectors who call it all ours, their voices dripping with false sympathy while they threaten to take everything we have. You didn't make this mess, I tell her firmly. Getting sick isn't your fault. No buts. I lean down and kiss her forehead, breathing in the familiar scent of lavender and hospital antiseptic. I'm going to figure this out, I promise. It's the biggest lie I've ever told. CTA number 1. If you're already invested in Sienna's story, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me create more stories like this one. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. I wait until Mama falls asleep before I let myself fall apart. The tears come silently, the way they always do now. I've learned to cry without making a sound, to break down in bathrooms and closets, and parked cars where no one can hear me, where no one can see the cracks forming in the foundation of who I used to be. 27 years old, a degree in nursing I can't use because I had to drop out to take care of her. A father who left when I was 12 and never looked back. A string of jobs that paid barely enough to keep the lights on, let alone cover chemotherapy and radiation, and the endless parade of medications that insurance refuses to pay for. I've tried everything, sold my car, maxed out every credit card, begged the hospital for payment plans they ultimately rejected because I couldn't meet even the minimum requirements. I've applied for every assistance program, every charity, every foundation that helps families like ours, and it still isn't enough. It will never be enough. The house is quiet except for the beeping of Mama's monitors and the ticking of the old grandfather clock in the hallway, the one piece of furniture I haven't sold because it belonged to my grandmother, and some things are worth more than money. I'm sitting at the kitchen table staring at a stack of bills I can't pay when my phone buzzes. Unknown. Number. Is this Sienna Hartwell? I frown at the screen. Probably another debt collector. They always seem to find new numbers to call from, no matter how many times I block them. Me. Who is this? Unknown number. Someone who might be able to help you. Me. I don't need help from strangers. Unknown number. Yes, you do. You need $737,842.16 to be exact. That's the combined total of your mother's medical debt, your outstanding mortgage, and the credit cards you maxed out trying to keep her alive. My blood runs cold. How does this person know the exact amount? The exact number, down to the penny? Me. How do you know that? Unknown number. I know a lot of things, Sienna. I know you dropped out of nursing school 3 credits shy of graduation. I know you work double shifts at the diner on Michigan Avenue and still can't make rent. I know you haven't slept a full night in 6 months, and you're running on caffeine and desperation. My hands are shaking now. I should block this number. I should call the police. I should do something other than sit here, frozen, waiting for the next message. Unknown number. I also know I can make all of it go away. Every debt, every bill, every sleepless night. All I need is 30 days of your time. Me. What are you talking about? Unknown number. Meet me tomorrow. Cavallo Tower, 8 p.m. Come alone. And Sienna? Me. What? Unknown number. Don't be late. I'm not a patient man. Cavallo Tower rises 60 stories above downtown Chicago, a monument to power and money and everything I've never had. The lobby is all marble and glass, and security guards who look like they could snap me in half without breaking a sweat. I'm here to see. I pause, realizing I don't even know who I'm meeting. I have an appointment at 8. The guard behind the desk doesn't smile. He barely looks at me as he checks something on his computer. Sienna Hartwell? Yes. Elevator on the left. Top floor. He's expecting you. He, not they. He. The elevator is silent as it climbs. The floor is ticking by like a countdown to something I can't take back. I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirrored walls, worn jeans, a blouse I've had since college, hair pulled back in a ponytail that's more practical than pretty. I look like what I am, a girl who doesn't belong here. The doors open onto a hallway that's more art gallery than office. Paintings I don't recognize but know must be worth millions. Sculptures that look ancient and priceless. And at the end, a set of double doors made of dark wood, flanked by 2 men in suits who don't even pretend they're not armed. Miss Hartwell. One of them opens the door. Go in. The office beyond is enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows that offer a view of the entire city. Chicago spreads out below like a kingdom, and standing at those windows, silhouetted against the glittering skyline, is the man who summoned me here. He turns as I enter, and the breath leaves my lungs. I've seen powerful men before, doctors who held my mother's life in their hands, lawyers who spoke in riddles while they took what little we had, bosses who thought their position gave them the right to look at me like I was something to be consumed. But I've never seen anyone like him. Dante Cavallo is tall, impossibly tall, with broad shoulders that strain against his perfectly tailored suit. His dark hair is pushed back from a face that's all sharp angles and barely concealed danger. High cheekbones, a strong jaw shadowed with stubble, lips that look like they've never smiled, and his eyes. God, his eyes. They're so dark they're almost black, and they're fixed on me with an intensity that makes me want to run. You came, he says, and even his voice is dangerous, low and smooth like whiskey poured over gravel. You didn't give me much choice. Everyone has choices, Miss Hartwell. He moves toward me, each step deliberate, predatory. You chose to come. That tells me everything I need to know. And what's that? He stops just a few feet away, close enough that I can smell his cologne, something dark and expensive that makes my head spin. That you're exactly as desperate as I thought. I should be offended. I should turn around and walk out. But he's right, and we both know it. What do you want from me? I ask, hating how small my voice sounds. 30 days, he says. That's all. 30 days as my wife. I blink, certain I've misheard. Excuse me? I need a wife, Miss Hartwell, temporarily. There are circumstances that require me to appear married by the end of this week. A business arrangement that hinges on my perceived stability. He says the words like they're distasteful, like the very concept of marriage is something beneath him. You need money. I need a wife. It's a simple transaction. Marriage isn't a transaction. Everything is a transaction. He returns to his desk, picking up a document I hadn't noticed before. $3 million. That's what I'm offering. In exchange, you'll live in my home, attend events on my arm, and convince the world that you're the loving wife of Dante Cavallo. $3 million. The number echoes in my head, drowning out everything else. $3 million would pay off every debt, would buy Mama the experimental treatment her insurance refused to cover, would give us a chance, a real chance for the first time in years. Why me? I managed to ask. You could have anyone. Why pick some broke waitress from the South Side? Something shifts in his expression. There and gone so fast, I might have imagined it. Because you have nothing to lose, he says quietly, and nothing to gain from betraying me. How do you know I won't? Because I know everything about you, Sienna. The way he says my name, like it belongs to him, sends a shiver down my spine. I know you'd do anything for your mother. I know you've never broken a promise in your life, and I know that when this is over, you'll walk away with your money and never speak of it again." He holds out the document, a contract, 30 pages of legal jargon that probably says he owns my soul for the next month. "You have 5 minutes to decide." The contract is comprehensive, detailed, every contingency accounted for, every expectation spelled out in cold, clinical language. I will live in Dante's home for 30 days. I will attend all social functions as his wife. I will not speak to the press without his approval. I will not contact any members of his family without his knowledge. I will share his bed, for appearances only the contract specifies, and I feel my cheeks flush at the implication. In exchange, I will receive $3 million deposited into an account of my choosing on the 31st day. "What happens if I break the contract?" I ask, not looking up from the pages. "You won't." "But if I do?" Dante's voice is ice. "Then the deal is void. You receive nothing, and I handle the situation personally." The threat hangs in the air between us, unspoken but understood. This man is not someone you cross. This man is not someone you disappoint. "And if you break it," I press, "if you decide you don't need me anymore before the 30 days are up?" For a moment he looks almost amused. "I always honor my agreements, Miss Hartwell. Always. It's the one thing you can count on." I flip to the last page. The signature line waits. Empty, patient. "My mother," I say quietly. "I can't leave her alone for 30 days. She needs round-the-clock care. I'll arrange for a full medical team. The best doctors, the best nurses. She'll receive better care than any hospital in the country could provide." He pauses. "And if there's an experimental treatment you've been denied, I'll make sure she has access to it." My eyes burn. How does he know about that? How does he know about the clinical trial that could give her another year, another 5 years, that the insurance company rejected because the success rate wasn't high enough to justify the cost? "Why would you do that?" I whisper. "Because you're about to give me something I need," he says simply, "and I pay my debts." I stare at the contract, at the number at the bottom, at the line where my signature will bind me to this man for 30 days. And I think about Mama, asleep in her hospital bed, wasting away because I can't afford to save her. I pick up the pen. My hand is steady as I sign my name. The black SUV arrives at 7 the next morning, before I've even finished packing. "Miss Hartwell." The driver, a mountain of a man named Bruno who speaks in single syllables, takes my worn suitcase without comment. "Mr. Cavallo is waiting." Mama is awake when I go to say goodbye. The new medical team arrived at dawn, 3 nurses, a physician, and enough equipment to turn our living room into a private hospital suite. She's confused but comfortable, propped up on pillows that smell clean and fresh instead of like sickness. "Where are you going, baby?" she asks, her eyes tracking me as I kneel beside her bed. "I got a job," I tell her. It's not entirely a lie. A really good one. Live-in position for a wealthy family. The money is... I swallow hard. "The money is enough to take care of everything, Mama. All the bills, all the debt, everything." Her thin hand cups my cheek. "You've always taken care of me. Even when you were little, you were the one who kept this family together." Tears glisten in her eyes. "I'm so sorry you had to grow up so fast." "Don't be sorry." I press a kiss to her palm. "You gave me everything. Now let me give something back." She doesn't ask questions. She's too tired for questions, too worn down by years of fighting a battle she can't win. She just holds my hand and tells me she loves me and makes me promise to call every day. Every day, I swear, no matter what. The drive to Dante's home takes 40 minutes, winding through neighborhoods I've only ever seen in magazines. Oak Park, River Forest, and finally a gated community so exclusive it doesn't even have a name. Just a number code that Bruno punches into a keypad before iron gates swing open to admit us. The house, if you can call it that, sits at the end of a private road, surrounded by trees that shield it from the outside world. It's a mansion in the truest sense, all stone and glass, and architectural lines that speak of old money and older power. Gardens spread out in every direction, meticulously maintained, not a single leaf out of place. Dante is waiting at the front door. He's dressed differently today. Dark slacks, a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, no tie. It makes him look almost human, almost approachable. The word almost is doing a lot of heavy lifting. "Welcome home, Mrs. Cavallo," he says, and the title sends a jolt through my system. It sounds wrong. It sounds dangerous. It sounds like a name that could swallow me whole. "This isn't my home," I remind him. "It's a temporary arrangement. For the next 30 days, this is exactly your home, and you are exactly my wife." He gestures for me to follow him inside. "The staff has prepared the east wing for you. You'll have your own bedroom, bathroom, and sitting room. Meals are served at 7, 12, and 7. If you need anything between meals, the kitchen is always staffed." The interior of the house is even more overwhelming than the exterior. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art that probably belongs in museums, and everywhere, the subtle signs of wealth so vast, it doesn't need to announce itself. "Your room?" Dante says, stopping in front of a door at the end of a long hallway. "I trust it will be sufficient." He opens the door, and I have to stop myself from gasping. The bedroom is larger than my entire apartment. A king-size bed dominates one wall, draped in linens that look softer than anything I've ever touched. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer a view of the gardens below. A fireplace sits in the corner, already crackling with warmth. And through an archway, I can see a bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. I don't have words. This is too much. Nothing is too much for my wife. Dante's voice is close. Too close. I turn to find him standing right behind me, his dark eyes unreadable. There's a closet through that door. It's been stocked with everything you'll need for the events we'll be attending. If anything doesn't fit, tell the staff and it will be replaced. "You bought me clothes?" "I bought my wife clothes," he corrects. "There's a difference." Before I can respond, he's already walking away. "Dinner is in 3 hours. Don't be late. We have much to discuss." The door closes behind him, and I'm left standing alone in a room that costs more than everything I've ever owned combined. What have I gotten myself into? Are you still with me? This is just the beginning of Sienna's journey. If you're feeling the tension, the uncertainty, the way her whole life is about to change, drop a heart in the comments. Let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button and join the family. The closet is a revelation. Dresses I've only seen in fashion magazines hang in neat rows, organized by color and occasion. Evening gowns in silk and velvet. Casual wear that probably costs more than my monthly rent. Shoes for every outfit, jewelry to match, even lingerie and soft fabrics that make me blush. I choose the simplest thing I can find. A navy blue dress that falls to my knees and doesn't require a degree in engineering to put on. It fits perfectly, hugging curves I forgot I had, making me look like someone I don't recognize in the mirror. Someone who might actually belong here. The dining room is on the first floor, at the end of a hallway lined with portraits of stern-faced men who all share Dante's dark eyes. His ancestors, I realize. Generations of Cavallos staring down at me, judging me, finding me wanting. Dante is already seated at the head of a table that could comfortably fit 20. He's changed into a black suit, and the sight of him takes my breath away all over again. "You look..." He pauses, his eyes traveling over me in a way that makes my skin heat. "Acceptable." "Gee, thanks," I mutter, taking the seat to his right. Every girl dreams of being called acceptable. Something flickers in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or amusement. "Would you prefer I tell you that you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen? That the sight of you in that dress makes me want to cancel dinner and take you upstairs instead?" My face flames. "I'd prefer you keep things professional." Professional? He says the word like it's foreign to him. Very well. Let's discuss the terms of our arrangement. A server appears with wine. Red, expensive, poured into glasses that probably cost more than my car. I take a sip to steady my nerves and immediately regret it. It's the best thing I've ever tasted, and I hate that he's the one who gave it to me. Tomorrow night, we attend the Ashford Foundation Gala. Dante begins. It's a charity event, very public, very visible. Everyone who matters in Chicago will be there, and they will all be watching to see who Dante Cavallo has finally chosen to marry. Why does it matter so much? I ask. Why do you need a wife at all? His jaw tightens. For a long moment, I think he won't answer. Then, my grandfather is dying. I blink, startled by the sudden vulnerability in his voice. I'm sorry. Don't be. He's 93 years old and has been running this family with an iron fist for longer than either of us has been alive. But he has conditions, requirements that must be met before he'll transfer control of the family's legitimate business interests to me. And one of those requirements is that you be married. Settled, Dante corrects. Stable. He believes a man without a family is a man without roots, without something to protect, without something to lose. His dark eyes meet mine. He wants to see that I have something worth fighting for before he trusts me with everything he's built. I think about that, about what it means to be worth $3 million to this man. Not for who I am, but for what I represent. Stability, normalcy, a weakness he can pretend to have. What about love? I ask quietly. Dante's laugh is cold, bitter. Love is a liability, Miss Hartwell. It makes you vulnerable, makes you stupid. The men in my world who fall in love are the men who end up dead. So you've never been in love? No. The word is final, absolute. And I never will be. The Ashford Foundation Gala is held at the Art Institute, in galleries that have been transformed into a wonderland of crystal and candlelight. Everyone who is anyone in Chicago is here. Politicians, and business moguls, celebrities, and old money families whose names I've seen on buildings and museum wings. And me, Sienna Hartwell, waitress from the South Side, wearing a gown that costs more than I made last year. Dante's hand rests at the small of my back as we enter, a possessive weight that makes me hyper-aware of every inch of my body. He's in a tuxedo tonight, and he looks like sin incarnate. Every woman in the room turns to stare as we pass. Every man straightens, threatened by his presence without even knowing why. Smile, he murmurs in my ear. You look terrified. I am terrified. Then fake it. That's what I'm paying you for. I paste on the brightest smile I can manage as we're immediately surrounded by people eager to meet the mysterious Mrs. Cavallo. Hands are shaken. Cheeks are kissed. Names I'll never remember are offered and forgotten in the same breath. And through it all, Dante plays the devoted husband with an ease that's almost disturbing. His hand never leaves my body. His eyes find mine across crowded conversations. He laughs at things I say that aren't even funny, leans in to whisper secrets that are nothing but empty words meant to be observed, introduces me to everyone as my wife, Sienna, like the words taste sweet on his tongue. You're good at this, I whispered during a rare moment alone. Pretending. I've had practice, he replies. My entire life has been a performance. Before I can ask what he means, a woman approaches. She's beautiful in a sharp, dangerous way. Blonde hair, red lips, a dress that leaves little to the imagination. And the look she's giving me could freeze fire. Dante. She purrs his name like she owns it. Imagine my surprise when I heard you'd gotten married. And so suddenly. Veronica. Dante's voice is ice. I wasn't aware you'd been invited. I go where I please. She turns to me and her smile is a weapon. So this is your little wife. How quaint. Sienna, I say, offering my hand. Sienna Cavallo. She doesn't take it. Tell me, Sienna, How exactly did you catch the most eligible bachelor in Chicago? Family money? Business connections? Her eyes rake over me dismissively. It certainly wasn't your breeding. The insult lands exactly where she intended. I feel my cheeks burn, feel the familiar shame of not being good enough creeping up my spine. But before I can respond, Dante steps forward. His arm wraps around my waist, pulling me against him, and when he speaks, his voice is cold enough to cut glass. My wife is none of your concern, Veronica, and if you speak to her like that again, I'll make sure you regret it. Veronica's smile falters. For just a moment, I see fear in her eyes. Real fear, the kind that tells me exactly how dangerous the man beside me truly is. Of course, she murmurs. My apologies. I didn't mean to offend. She disappears into the crowd, and I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Who was that? I ask. No one important. Dante's jaw is tight, his eyes still tracking her movements across the room. Not anymore. The days begin to blur together. Mornings start with breakfast in a dining room that could fit my entire childhood home. Dante is always there, always immaculate, always watching me with those dark eyes that see too much and reveal nothing. We practice our story over coffee and eggs, prepared by a chef whose name I can't pronounce. How we met. At a charity event, of course. How long we dated, 6 months. Kept secret from the press. Why we married so quickly. Because when you know, you know. The lies come easier than I expected. Maybe because I'm getting used to pretending, or maybe because some part of me is starting to believe them. Tell me about yourself, Dante says one morning, halfway through our second week. Something real. I look up from my coffee, surprised. Why? Because a good husband knows things about his wife, and people will ask questions I need to be able to answer. It's a practical request, a logical one. So why does it feel like he's asking for something more? My mother was a teacher, I hear myself saying. Elementary school. She used to bring me to her classroom on days when we couldn't afford a babysitter, and I'd sit in the back and do my homework while she taught fractions to second graders. I smile at the memory. She always said education was the one thing no one could take from you. And your father? The smile fades. He left when I was 12. Found someone younger, richer, more interesting. Last I heard, he was living in Florida with his third wife. I shrug, trying to make it look casual. I don't think about him anymore. Dante is quiet for a long moment. My father died when I was 17, he says finally. Shot in a business deal gone wrong. My mother followed a year later. Heart attack, the doctor said, but I know the truth. She died because she couldn't live without him. I'm sorry. Don't be. They were weak. But his voice catches on the word, and I see something crack in his careful facade. Love made them weak. It made my father careless, and my mother helpless. I swore I would never let that happen to me. I want to argue. Want to tell him that love isn't weakness, that connection isn't a liability, that the walls he's built around himself are a prison, not a fortress. But I don't. Because I'm starting to understand that the most dangerous man in Chicago is also the loneliest. CTA number 3. We're right in the middle of this story now, and I can feel the tension building. Can you? If this story is making you feel something, let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And remember, subscribing is free, but it means the world to me. It happens on day 16. We're at a business dinner, some boring affair with investors Dante needs to impress, when I notice the woman across the table staring at me. She's older, elegant, with silver hair and sharp eyes that miss nothing. Mrs. Cavallo, she says during a lull in conversation. Forgive me, but you seem familiar. Have we met before? My heart stops. I glance at Dante, but he's deep in discussion with the man beside him. I don't think so, I manage. She tilts her head, studying me. Perhaps not. But I could swear I've seen your face somewhere. A magazine, perhaps? Or, her eyes narrow, or that little diner on Michigan Avenue, the one with the excellent pancakes. Ice floods my veins. She knows. Somehow, she knows. I think you must be mistaken, I say, but my voice wavers and I see the flicker of triumph in her eyes. Perhaps, she says again, or perhaps not. Later in the car, Dante is silent. His jaw is tight, his hands clenched on his thighs. She knows, I whisper, or she suspects. Marguerite Ashford has built her career on suspicions, he says flatly. She's a gossip columnist pretending to be a philanthropist. If she had proof, she would have used it already. But if she finds it, she won't. His voice is final. Because as far as anyone is concerned, you are exactly who I say you are, and no one questions Dante Cavallo. But I see the worry in his eyes, the doubt, and I realize that for the first time since I signed that contract, we're both afraid. I can't sleep that night. The mansion is too quiet, too vast, too full of shadows that seem to watch my every move. I wander the halls in my pajamas, searching for something, though I couldn't say what, until I find myself in front of a door I've never opened. The library. It's 2 stories tall, with floor-to-ceiling shelves crammed with books that look older than the house itself. A fire crackles in the corner, casting dancing shadows across leather armchairs and Persian rugs that muffle my footsteps. And there, sitting in one of those chairs, is Dante. He's not in a suit for once, just a simple t-shirt and sweatpants like a normal person, like someone who hasn't built an empire on fear and power and the bones of his enemies. Can't sleep? He asks, without looking up from the book in his hands. No. I move closer, drawn by something I can't name. You? I never sleep well. He sets the book aside, a collection of poetry, I notice with surprise. My mother used to say I was born restless, that I came into the world fighting and never stopped. I sink into the chair across from him. The fire is warm on my skin, soothing in a way I didn't know I needed. What were you reading? Neruda. He glances at the book. My mother's favorite. She used to read his poems to me when I was small, before I learned that poetry was a luxury men like me couldn't afford. Do you believe that? That there are things you can't have? His eyes meet mine, and for once I see past the walls, past the armor, past the carefully constructed persona he shows the world. I believe that men like me don't get happy endings, Sienna. We get power, we get money, we get fear and respect, and a legacy built on blood. He pauses, but we don't get love. We don't get softness. We don't get to come home to someone who sees us as anything other than a weapon. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. It's the truth. I think about my mother, dying by inches in a house that's being taken from us. About my father who chose money over family and never looked back. About every man who's ever seen me as a means to an end rather than a person worth knowing. Maybe, I say quietly. Or maybe you just haven't met someone brave enough to prove you wrong. Dante stares at me for a long moment, and then, so softly I might have imagined it, he says, maybe I have. After that night, something shifts between us. It's small at first, a lingering look across the breakfast table, a touch that lasts a moment longer than necessary, a joke that makes him actually smile instead of just pretending. We talk about things that have nothing to do with contracts or business arrangements, books we've loved, movies that made us cry, dreams we had as children before life taught us that dreams were dangerous. I learned that Dante wanted to be a pianist when he was young, before his father told him music was for weaklings, that he speaks 4 languages fluently and is learning a 5th, that he donates millions to children's hospitals every year, anonymously, because he can't stand the thought of kids suffering the way he did. And he learns about me, about the nursing degree I never finished, about the mother who sacrificed everything so I could have a chance at something better, about the stubborn hope that keeps me going even when everything seems impossible. We're still pretending, still playing our roles for the cameras and the crowds, but in the quiet moments, in the spaces between performances, something real is growing. Something that terrifies me more than anything else in the world. Day 22, 8 days left. We're at another event, a gallery opening for some artist I've never heard of, when Dante pulls me onto the dance floor. A slow song is playing, something old and romantic, and his hand is warm at my waist as we sway together. "You're getting good at this," he murmurs against my hair. "At what?" "At making me believe it's real." I look up at him, and the breath catches in my throat. He's so close, close enough that I can see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, the tiny scar above his eyebrow, the way his lips part slightly as he stares down at me. "What if it is?" I whisper before I can stop myself. Dante goes still. His hand tightens on my waist, pulling me closer, and for one heart-stopping moment, I think he's going to kiss me. But then a camera flash goes off somewhere to our left, and the spell breaks. Dante steps back, his expression shuddering closed, and I'm left standing alone in the middle of the dance floor, wondering what the hell just happened. "We should go," he says, his voice cold again, distant. "It's late." He doesn't touch me for the rest of the night. Day 25, 5 days left. Mama's condition has worsened. The new medical team calls to tell me that she's been moved to the intensive care wing they set up in the house. The experimental treatment is helping, but her body is tired. Fighting for so long has taken its toll. "She's asking for you," the nurse says gently. She wants to see her daughter. I'm out the door before I even realize I'm moving. The drive takes forever. Every red light is an eternity. Every traffic jam a torture. By the time I burst through the front door, I'm shaking. Mama looks so small in her hospital bed, so fragile. Her eyes flutter open when she hears me come in, and she smiles. That same warm, loving smile she's had since I was a little girl. "There's my baby," she whispers. I fall to my knees beside her, tears streaming down my face. "I'm here, Mama, I'm here." "I know you are." Her thin hand finds mine. "You've always been here. Even when everything was falling apart, you never left. You never gave up on me. I would never give up on you." "I know." She's quiet for a moment, her chest rising and falling with labored breaths. "Tell me about him." I blink. "About who?" "The man. The one who's making you happy." I want to lie. Want to tell her it's just a job, just an arrangement, just a means to an end. But I've never been able to lie to my mother. Not about the things that matter. "His name is Dante," I say softly. "He's complicated, dangerous, the kind of man I never thought I could feel anything for. But you do feel something." "Yes." The word comes out broken. "I feel everything. And in 5 days, it's all going to end." Mama squeezes my hand with what little strength she has left. "Nothing ends, unless you let it, baby girl. If this man makes you feel something, if he makes you happy, then fight for it. Fight for him, the way you've always fought for me." "What if he doesn't feel the same way?" "Then at least you'll know." Her eyes drift closed, exhaustion pulling her under. "Don't live your life wondering what could have been, Sienna. Regret is the heaviest thing you can carry." I stay with her until she falls asleep, and then I sit in the quiet of the room, my mother's words echoing in my head, and wonder if I'm brave enough to take her advice. CTA Mark IV. We're getting close to the end now, and things are about to get intense. If you've made it this far, you're invested in Sienna and Dante's story, and I promise the ending is worth it. Stick with me. Subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know in the comments. Do you think Sienna should tell Dante how she feels? Day 28, 2 days left. I find Dante in his office, standing at those floor-to-ceiling windows, staring out at the city like it holds answers he can't find anywhere else. "We need to talk," I say. He doesn't turn around. "If this is about the transfer, I've already initiated it. $3 million will be in your account at midnight on day 30, as agreed." "It's not about the money." Now he turns, and I see something in his eyes I've never seen before. Something raw and vulnerable and terrified. "Then what is it about?" I take a deep breath, and then I do the bravest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I don't want this to end, I say. Not in 2 days. Not ever. I know that's not what we agreed to. I know this was supposed to be a business arrangement, a transaction, something we could walk away from without looking back. But somewhere along the way, it became real for me. You became real for me. Dante stares at me, his expression unreadable. I'm falling in love with you, I continue, my voice shaking. And I don't know if you feel the same way. And I don't know if this is crazy. And I don't know if I'm about to make the biggest fool of myself. But I couldn't let these 30 days end without telling you the truth. The silence stretches between us, long and terrible. I wait for him to laugh, to tell me I'm foolish, to remind me that men like him don't fall in love. Instead, he crosses the room in 3 long strides and kisses me. It's not gentle, it's not tentative, it's desperate and hungry and everything I've been dreaming of for weeks. His hands cut my face, his body presses against mine, and I lose myself in the taste of him. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. I've wanted to do that since the day you walked into my office, he says roughly. Every day of this goddamn arrangement, I've wanted you. Not as my fake wife, not as part of some business deal. Just you. Then why didn't you say anything? Because I was afraid. He rests his forehead against mine. I told you, love makes you vulnerable, and I've spent my entire life making sure I never had any weaknesses. And now I have the biggest weakness of all. His dark eyes meet mine, and I see everything he's been hiding. All the fear, all the hope, all the love he's been so afraid to admit. You, Sienna, you're my weakness, and I don't want to fight it anymore. Day 29. 1 day left. We spend the night tangled together in sheets that smell like him, talking and kissing and planning a future I never thought I'd have. For the first time in longer than I can remember, I feel happy. Truly, completely happy. Which is, of course, when everything falls apart. The story breaks at noon, splashed across every gossip site in the country. Cavallo wife. A fraud waitress paid millions to fake marriage. Marguerite Ashford got her proof. Someone, a staff member, a business associate, someone leaked the contract. The entire world now knows that my marriage to Dante is a lie. His phone doesn't stop ringing. Business partners demanding explanations, board members calling emergency meetings. His grandfather, whose voice I can hear even from across the room, thundering about disgrace and betrayal and everything Dante has ever feared. I'll fix this, Dante says, pacing the length of his office like a caged animal. I'll find out who leaked it. I'll destroy them. Dante. I grab his arm, forcing him to stop. Listen to me. This isn't your fault. Of course it's my fault. I dragged you into this. I put a target on your back. And now nothing. I cup his face in my hands, the way he did to me last night. I don't care what the world thinks. I don't care about the gossip or the scandal or any of it. I only care about you. They'll never accept you now, he says, his voice breaking. My family, my business partners, everyone I need to keep this empire running. They'll see you as a weakness, as a liability, as what? The truth? I shake my head. Our relationship may have started as an arrangement, but it's not fake anymore. What I feel for you is real, and if your empire can't handle that, then maybe your empire needs to change. Dante stares at me for a long moment, and then, slowly, the tension drains from his shoulders. You're right, he says quietly. You're absolutely right. Day 30. Dante calls a press conference. It's held in the lobby of Cavallo Tower, in the same marble atrium where I first walked in as a desperate stranger and walked out as his contracted wife. The room is packed with reporters, photographers, cameras flashing like strobe lights as we take our places at the podium. Dante holds my hand. He hasn't let go since we left the house. I'm sure you've all seen the stories, he begins, his voice steady and strong. "You've read about the contract, about the arrangement, about the lie I tried to pass off as a marriage." The room buzzes with whispers. I feel the weight of 100 stares, 100 judgments, 100 people waiting for us to fail. "But here's what the stories don't tell you," Dante continues. "They don't tell you that Sienna Hartwell is the bravest woman I've ever met, that she sacrificed everything to save her mother, that she walked into my office with nothing and gave me something I didn't even know I was missing." He turns to look at me, and his eyes are soft, vulnerable, real. What started as an arrangement became something neither of us expected. I fell in love with my wife, and no contract, no scandal, no amount of public pressure will change that. The room erupts. Questions shouted over each other, cameras flashing faster than ever, but Dante just squeezes my hand and leans into the microphone one more time. "Sienna Cavallo is not my fake wife," he says. "She's the love of my life. And anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me personally." 1 month later, we get married again, for real this time. It's a small ceremony, just us, a few close friends, and Mama, who is well enough to be there in person thanks to the experimental treatment that's finally working. She cries through the whole thing, happy tears streaming down her face as she watches me walk down the aisle toward the man who changed my life. Dante's grandfather is there too. He caused a stir when he showed up uninvited, but instead of anger, his eyes held something like respect. "You chose well," he told Dante before the ceremony. "She has fire. She'll keep you honest." We exchanged vows we wrote ourselves, promises of partnership and trust and love that neither of us ever expected to find. When Dante slips the ring onto my finger, it's not a prop or a costume or part of a 30-day arrangement. It's forever. 6 months later, Mama is in remission. The doctors can't explain it. The experimental treatment was only supposed to buy her time, not cure her, but I don't need explanations. I just need her here, healthy, watching me build a life I never thought I'd have. We visit her every Sunday for dinner. She's moved into a cottage on the estate grounds, close enough to see us whenever she wants, far enough to have her own space. She and Dante played chess while I cook, their bickering filling the house with warmth. "Your husband cheats," she tells me after every game. "Your mother is a sore loser," he replies. They love each other. It's obvious in every argument, every laugh, every moment of comfortable silence. She's become the mother he lost too young, and he's become the family she always wanted for me. And me? I'm finally happy I went back to nursing school, finished those last 3 credits, got my degree, started working at a children's hospital downtown. Dante tried to convince me I didn't need to work. We have more money than we could spend in 10 lifetimes. But I told him that helping people isn't about money. It's about purpose. He understood. He always understands. 1 year later, I'm pregnant. We find out on a Tuesday. Fitting, somehow, for a story that started with my world ending on a Tuesday. Dante cries when I tell him, actual tears streaming down the face of the most dangerous man in Chicago, and I know that everything we've been through has led us here. "I never thought I'd have this," he whispers, his hand resting on my still flat stomach. "A family. A real family." "You have more than that," I tell him. "You have a wife who loves you, a mother-in-law who cheats at chess, a baby on the way who's going to be spoiled rotten. And a happy ending," he adds. "You gave me a happy ending, Sienna, when I spent my whole life believing men like me didn't deserve one." "Everyone deserves a happy ending," I say. "You just have to be brave enough to fight for it." He kisses me then, slow and sweet and full of promise. And I think about the girl I was a year ago, desperate, broken, signing a contract she didn't understand with a man she thought was a monster. I didn't know it then, but I wasn't signing away my freedom. I was signing up for the greatest adventure of my life. Epilogue 3 years later, I stand on the balcony of Cavallo Tower, looking out at the city that tried so hard to break me. Behind me, in the penthouse we now call home, our daughter is taking her first steps. Dante is on the floor with her, this powerful man reduced to cooing and clapping as a tiny human waddles between the furniture. Mama is here too, healthier than she's been in years, already planning our daughter's 3rd birthday party even though she just turned 2. We built this, all of us together, a family made from broken pieces, held together by love and stubbornness and the refusal to give up when everything seemed impossible. My phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. Unknown. Is this Sienna Cavallo? I smile, remembering another unknown number, another desperate midnight, another chance I never should have taken. Me. Who wants to know? Unknown. Someone who needs help. Someone desperate. I heard there's a man in Chicago who helps people like me. A man named Dante Cavallo. I look back at my husband, at our daughter, at the life we've built from nothing. Me. Tell me everything. We'll see what we can do. Because that's what we do now. That's who we've become. People who help. People who save. People who know that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is believe in a happy ending. And sometimes that dangerous thing is exactly what you need. The end. If this story touched your heart, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment telling me your favorite part. Share this video with someone who needs to believe in love today. And remember, no matter how dark things seem, no matter how impossible your situation feels, there's always hope. There's always a chance for something beautiful to grow from the ashes of your pain. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this family. Until next time.